do you have any questions in some?
No, Jose, thank you.
So, um, another topic we're covering today, it's proportions of the human body, which I believe it's really interesting. So when we think about the proportions of the human body, there's like this general proportion made by Dr. Paul Richter, and he's mentioned in the Bridgman's book, and he's talking about this specific proportion of the body where you feel and you see this proportion, which is like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 and a half. So here you can see like her feet are going down, but because she's her the way she's
Floating.
yeah, she's like floating. Yeah. So what's important to think about proportion? And in some way, you might look and you'll see like Michelangelo thought about this, and he said like, no, there's 8 heads, of proportion within the body. Or you might see some comic book artists and say, no, there's 9, even more. Or you can see Disney. When you see Disney, you'll see 5 or even 4. Or even when you see Mickey Mouse, or you'll see 2 or 2.5. So what's happening with this relativity, of the head? The relativity, it's simply talking about narrative. So when we were like in caves, and we started to draw, started to make different kinds of drawings. So we started to make our own way of interpreting the world. And what's happening with this head thing, it's a code. It's a very, very antique code that we feel because we've seen it throughout our whole history, and even our own experience as human beings. So when we watch a cute little animal, the proportions will change, and we'll see like a very big head and a very tiny body. So automatically it'll become cute. And the more we exaggerate those, the cuter it'll be. And the opposite happens when we do the head smaller according to the body. So when we make a very tiny head, it'll look like a very huge being. And the opposite of being sweet, it'll not necessarily negatively, but it'll be the opposite of something cute. So always when we do this kind of proportions, like let's say 7.5 or 8 or 9, try to think about simply about those. How cute it'll be if we do something like this, or how huge and how sublime maybe, or heroic would be the shape if we make the head very, very small. This is another concept which is it's really important to think about this, because otherwise we don't know why. We don't know why we do the proportion according to the head. So when you see every Disney, every animation movie, you'll see there's always like a bigger head according to compared to the body. It's the same for the same reason. And another thing that is really interesting also happens. When you turn shapes, these measurements change in space. So if you're seeing something in space, it'll never be as this scheme where we were working. You see, this is like very specific. The camera must be right in front of them, in the middle part of their body, and it's almost impossible to see someone like this in real life. So in real life, there's always this game of boxes, changing and turning in space. So the more you do this exercise, the better it'll be for you. So if you want to, you can do some bit, and always think about how a box, when you turn this box in space, it's always one in front and there's something behind. There's always something behind. There's always something on top and something behind, and something on top and something behind. So the more you do this, the more your brain will get this idea. It's great to do this exercise, and then you'll start to break every little into tinier shapes, and we'll start to see bit by bit, like every detail on every part of the body. So I consider this like the way to think in a very organized manner. Because if we start just by making like the detailed parts of the body, we might be lost, but with this way, I consider it's a lot better. So I don't know if you have any comments or doubts or.
Yeah, it's like you said before, like it's more important the structure of the drawing than the details and the specifics of each part. It's more important that all connects and all seems like in the same perspective and atmosphere, so it all feels natural.
Yeah, exactly. Precisely. That's the thing, which is really important. So we So we go like very organized. Next class, it's gonna be more exciting. It's gonna be like what happens inside each one of those shapes, inside of inside of each one of those boxes. So you want we can see a bit of this. So we're getting thinking about this big, most important shapes. When you think about the human body, the most important are these three shapes. This we'll see why, and we're going to talk about functionality and how this we should how we proceed to transform these boxes into a more detailed and more specific shapes. And then we're going to talk about something really interesting about how to connect all some principles to the human shape. So I don't know if you have any comments or anything you want or you feel that might be.
No, I feel really excited because it's more like in depth the next class. So
Yeah.
it's really nice.
Okay, cool. So see you soon, Salman.
Okay, thank you, Jose.